Welcome to the President's Desk on 96.9 FM KGPC and Peralta Television, where Laney College President Dr. Rudy Besikoff speaks with community members, colleagues, and student leaders. This program is supported by Technical Director Felicia Bridges, who co-hosts along with Laney College journalism major Randy Cross and President Dr. Rudy Besikoff.
Pull up a chair and join me and Felicia at the President's Desk today for episode number 59, as we welcome Oakland City Leader and Zaru Systems CEO and former City of Oakland Council member, Mr. Loren Taylor, to the program. The show airs at 2 a.m. and 2 p.m. on FM 96.9 KGPC in the heart of Oakland and live at kgpc969.org each Wednesday. And it can be seen Sundays on TV from 1 to 2 p.m. on Peralta TV. Can't catch us then? Can't catch us then? No problem. All our episodes are available anytime on demand at kgpc969.org, along with a lot of other great Peralta programming. And as always, we can be heard on Apple Podcasts and iHeartRadio. Want to get in touch with the program? Please feel free to email us at laneypodcast@peralta.edu. You can also like us on Facebook at Laney College President's Desk Podcast and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Laney Podcast. Also, and it's been a hit, you can find select interviews and content from the show on my very own YouTube channel, as well as that for Peralta Colleges, and subscribe to us on YouTube at Laney College President's Desk. I'm Rudy Besikoff, president of Laney College, a pillar that has been serving the greater Oakland community since 1927 and has been known as Laney for more than 65 years, and where once again, spring is free in 2024.
Free.
There we go. Like so many things with my office, my work is the result of a great team. In addition to co-hosts Felicia and Randy, who's studying up for finals, Arlene Lontock books the show guests for us, and we have Whitney supporting us on the board today. But you know what? Getting things kicked off as we gear up for finals is my co-host, Felicia Bridges. Felicia, how are you?
I'm doing good, Rudy. How are you?
Pretty good. So, you know, I know the last time we talked about final exams a little bit, and final exam stories, and did any of them come to mind for you? Because I got a good one.
Gosh, no, not really. Just, being up all night.
Okay.
And studying and
Studying,
writing
yeah.
to the point where I remember writing a paper and I was up all night, and in the end it was just garbled.
4 a.m. inspiration, is that okay?
It didn't make any sense.
Well, okay, well, here's mine. Freshman year at University of Colorado, I was taking my History of American Economics final exam. It was a blue book exam, meaning, no word processors, no typing. You had to write in this little mini notebook. And the questions were really detailed. I mean, the answers that I had. And I ran out of pages with one question to go. And I raised my hand, and my professor came over, and I said, "Do you have more paper?" And she said, "No, go to the bookstore." So I had to sprint all the way to the bookstore, beg about 5 people to let me cut in line, pay for my blue book, and then sprint back. And then I had like 9 minutes left, and I just feverishly wrote, and I still can't believe I got an A in the class, but I know that somewhere that professor is still chuckling a little.
Oh, that's cutthroat.
So anyway, I don't know if sprinting was a part of your final exams as I turn to our guest, Loren Taylor, but do you have any final exam memories of your own? And welcome to the program.
Thank you. It's great to be here. No, I didn't have that experience where I had to sprint in the middle of a final, but definitely had a lot of all-nighters. I didn't do coffee when I was in undergrad.
Oh.
So I had other things to keep me going, a lot of sugar, a lot of soda. I remember my special treat was for myself was Pop-Tarts.
Oh.
I get a certain way through studying, and it was like, okay, the reward at the end of the tunnel there.
Okay, I think there is something with sugar, because I know for me with writer's block, the generic Oreo cookies, if I start eating those, suddenly I was a writing machine, and I don't know why.
Oh, well, you didn't do coffee, but in college, I don't do coffee now, but in college I did, and man, Pete's coffee, shout out to Pete, because it got me through.
Yeah.
Got me through.
Loren, you've certainly been a longtime friend of Laney College, and I first of all, as stepping out of the role of host and into the role of president, I first want to acknowledge you and just say thank you. You've been an incredible partner over my years here.
Well, absolutely. It's been a pleasure and honor. And yeah, I think we've talked about it before, but my history with Laney goes back to my dad got his degree here at Laney before going to San Francisco State. So I owe a lot to the Peralta College system and Laney for just the foundation that was laid before I was able to even come into fruition.
Before we get to your educational background and what you studied, what did your father study at Laney? And then what did he go on to do?
So he studied administration, business administration, and went on to work for Lockheed Martin as a systems analyst in their aerospace program. So helping to guide and manage the development programs and projects that they had contracted with the federal government.
So you have a BA and then an MS and an MBA, Master's in Business Administration. Could you tell our listeners a little bit about your degrees?
Absolutely. So I first got an undergrad degree in biomedical engineering. So that was focusing on really applying all aspects of STEM, technology, engineering to helping healing the human body. Worked for Kaiser Permanente for a few years after graduating and, with both a bachelor's and a master's degree, but realized that the way to really I will say, move things has to be following the money. So you have to understand how money flows. And so I got a business degree as a result, so combining business and technology to create change. And so the foundational knowledge through the bachelor's and master's graduate degree programs.
So I might be jumping forward a little bit. So from all of that, how did you get into politics?
Well, the politics thing is really just about my passion for the town and recognizing that I have been blessed to benefit from so many people pouring into me that it's my duty to continue to give back, reinvest, and create opportunities for those who come behind.
Did your father have any influence on that, and was he political
So
or into politics
my
as
parents
well?
my parents were not political. I think actually they probably saw that more of a distraction and like go get some money and take care of the family. But they were very mission driven, service oriented. My mom, a school teacher, retired out of Oakland Unified School District. My dad and his family active in church community and others, and so they're even though they weren't pushing politics and public service, they definitely gave that model of serving others.
Talking about, you really kind of talked about your experience as a student, forward thinking, looking at the money, as you said, and also just looking at the future after graduation. I'm going to go in my own personal Wayback Machine. I remember going to the Denver Public Library, and there was a set of volumes, like encyclopedias, that was called the Index of Majors. And I remember going in there and just kind of looking up majors and then careers and then what the salary was I could expect, even though the date on the books was probably 20 years before, but that's okay. Anyway, fast forward to now, Laney College students, if they go to laney.edu, we actually have what's called the career mapper that's on our front page where students can click on majors and really see the prospects for things. As you were a student, as you started to look at the prospects for future employment, what was your approach in terms of, like you said, looking at the money, looking at the prospects?
Yeah, I think first of all is passion. You got to follow something that you like, that you enjoy, because if you don't, it will be a chore and you won't be that good at it, and it will show. So you got to understand what you're passionate about, what you care about, what you have an affinity for. That's number one. And within that, there's going to be a whole range of ways you can apply yourself, different job opportunities and different employers and career paths. I think it's critical to explore. Number one, you got to be able to look at those options, explore the full list, not just get pigeonholed into one. The other thing for me was to create a foundation, a strong, wide base of knowledge, expertise, experiences, so that as something maybe didn't work out or we realized that, hey, maybe the market isn't there for a career that we thought was going to be there, you've got a foundation on which you can pivot. You can move into something else that's lucrative, but still creates value and is fulfilling.
A lot of the work you do now is about supporting people as they're finding their way. So I'll go ahead and ask the question. If I'm a first or second year college student at Laney or somewhere in Peralta, what is that way that I build my base or my foundation that you just spoke about?
So much of it comes from relationships. You got to talk to people, identify folks who are in careers or professions that you're curious about, interested in, and just exploring through real experience, internships, looking for ways to even volunteer in certain areas so that you can get that exposure and build the relationships. The saying is true. So much of opportunities come based on who you know and not what you know. And so being out there, experiencing life and having conversations with people that, hey, maybe it's a little stretch outside of your comfort zone, but it's important to better understand those opportunities and also create some allies and mentors along the way.
Goes right along in line with one of my favorite expressions is that good luck happens when preparation meets opportunity, and kind of sounds like what you're saying as well.
Absolutely, absolutely.
What was the experience like so you were at University of Connecticut, correct?
UConn, that was grad school.
All right.
Yep.
Okay. Undergrad, where'd you go?
Undergrad, I was at Case Western.
Okay.
It's in Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh, okay.
How'd you find yourself at Case Western?
You know what? It's a funny story. So the application was free. So when I was applying to colleges, it was like, hey, doesn't hurt anything to fill it out and see what happens. And then as I filled out the application, got accepted, and they're like, you know what, we want to diversify our school, so we're gonna give you a free flight out to the school to check it out and see what's going on. I was like, I don't really know the school, probably not that interested, but let me go ahead and check it out. And it's a free trip somewhere I haven't been. Let's go do that. And when I got to campus, it just had a good feel. It felt like, hey, you know what, I could see myself here. The people are fun, and it will prepare me for that next step. They were number 3 in biomedical engineering at the time, which is what I studied. So that also kept had that interest as well. So yeah, a roundabout, but it ended up being the best decision for me after those series of events and decisions.
So when you were not studying at Case in the classroom or in the library at Case Western, extracurricular activities as a student, what did you do?
Yeah, so a number of things. As an engineer, got involved with some of the engineering groups like the National Society of Black Engineers, who really was just a way of coming together with folks who were struggling with the same difficult, complex majors, but also you had that sort of cultural connection in order to get through it. I was a resident assistant in the dorm, so I had the responsibility of looking out for a dorm and those who were there, and making sure everyone was taken care of.
RA, okay.
Yeah, so I had the RA thing, and even got involved in student government. As in terms of leadership roles with the student government there.
Felicia, you know, it's amazing. We've had so many student guests and then community members that were college students come through here. And time and again, when we asked the question about life outside of class, they were always busy, weren't they? I mean, just like Loren, amazing.
Biochemistry is a heady major. What would talk to fellow students to students and tell them what you could do with a biochemistry engineer and what led you to be a biochemist?
Absolutely. So what brought me to biomedical engineering was really the exposure that I got as a junior high student and a high school student here in Oakland. I was connected to the MESA program that existed at UC Berkeley and the UC systems and some of the other schools.
And Felicia, I'm so happy to use this opportunity to announce that Laney College is actually starting a MESA program.
That's amazing. Yeah, so MESA, Math, Engineering, Science Achievement. It was a way of exposing those like me who didn't have engineers and sort of technical folks in their immediate orbit, exposing them to what you could do. Like, I remember summer programs where we went to campus and did an egg drop off of like 5-story buildings to see who can design something to protect the egg when you dropped it from that high. Creating hovercrafts, applying the skills and getting us excited about what could be done. And so it was the engineering introduction, and then also, we all saw the Huxtables on TV, and you saw doctor, and hey, I want to be a doctor. I want to be able to kind of treat people, their health and wellness. So engineering, medicine, kind of saw that there was a way of combining those, and that's what led me to biomedical engineering.
Great information as we're talking to Loren Taylor right here at the President's Desk on 96.9 KGPC, also heard at kgpc969.org. All right, so a lot of our students might be, obviously they're pursuing the undergraduate degree, the associate's, and then perhaps the bachelor's degree. And maybe a lot of those majors are like yours, perhaps, where, okay, bachelor's degree is nice, but if I want to advance, I'm going to need to go to graduate school. What would you say, especially perhaps to our second year, soon to be graduating students transferring on to their third year, about maybe what would you tell them about grad school right now, things they should have in mind?
Well, I think first of all, it's important to understand that a lot of grad school programs are, as you advance, there is a significant bump that you get compensation wise when you have that graduate degree, right? So a lot of folks may look at it and say, "Oh, I don't want to do 2 more years and really, study and do that." And it's like, well, if 2 more years gets you 30%, 40% more of an income, and you're that much more competitive, that 2 years of sacrifice is worth it when you look at the rest of the 40 years you're going to have in a career and the ability to really sort of have that greater, higher income. I'd say that's one, just the dollars and cents of it.
If we want to light the fire of inspiration about grad school also, what were some experiences you had as a grad student that maybe you didn't have as an undergrad?
So grad school is where you're around a lot of more like-minded folks. They're focused, you're focused, so you can build off of each other. You also, I will say, grad school, you have a little bit more income coming in, not a lot, but a little bit more that you can, do things as a group. And depending on the program, there's, I'll say, you can really start to test out your ability to create value, to explore. So you've got the classes, and then there's usually some implementation of the knowledge, whether it's through a thesis project, whether it's special design, whether it's specific research that you're doing that digs in deep, and you start to actualize the knowledge that you're getting.
Loren, there is another person in the room that also has graduate school experience, so I'm going to turn her way. Dr. Felicia Bridges, how about you, the experience of grad school versus undergrad?
I think grad school for me, what is close, is close to what Lawrence said. It's far more focused. It's I was completely focused, and I was around a group of people or cohort that was just as focused. So we supported one another, and we bounced ideas off of one another, and that is what made it important, and allowed me to get through it.
I felt like I was learning from classmates a lot more. I felt like the cohort experience,
Yeah.
you mentioned the cohort, and I was in a unique situation because I was only the second person to graduate from a new program at the University of Colorado, Denver, which was applied linguistics. And there were only about 7 of us that were doing it. So we got pretty close to each other. And then my doctoral leadership program, we were in a cohort of 32. And again, very close to each other. It was K all the way through 16, and there were graduate school administrators in there as well. So it was really good. I want to shift gears a little bit. So you kind of talked about support for students. Let's now shift into what you're doing. Tell us a little bit about Zaru.
Yeah, so Zaru Systems, it is a social impact startup. We are bridging the racial wealth gap by creating $1 billion in Black wealth within the next 8 years. So the focus is creating template businesses that we can train Black and also other underrepresented minority entrepreneurs to become owner operators of. Each of these businesses are designed to generate at least $1 million in annual revenue, pay the entrepreneur salary, pay for 3 FTEs, and generate, after all the operating expenses, $100,000 to $200,000 in net income, so equity that gets reinvested in the business.
Let me make sure that I just want to clarify. So essentially what you're doing is you're creating business models for people to start up a company or something with 3 full-time employees.
Exactly. So the business model, think of it as a business in a box. We take care of the capital financing so that you can get the equipment and have that amortized over time. We take care of the playbook of how you actually operate inside of the business, and we take care of the customer relationships, facilitating and lining up customers so that we essentially plug the entrepreneur in with training and support, and they're able to run this business, generate the income. We make a small royalty off of that as Zaru, but really setting them up to thrive and have their own business that they run. And doing that 1, 10, 100, 1,000 times across the country at $1 million each, that's $1 billion in annual revenue and wealth that we're creating.
So would these entrepreneurs actually have their own idea, or is or do you have the business idea that they're going to they're going to get assistance developing?
Absolutely. We are choosing the business, identifying those businesses that have the criteria, the ability to generate the income and create that value. So the
Right.
first, as an example, the first business application that we are templating, building out, it's urban shipping container farms. So taking shipping containers, using new technology of vertical agriculture, controlled environment farming, so within these containers, and producing high margin, high volume crops. So we're talking things like mushrooms, berries, microgreens, herbs, those that have a high dollar amount per ounce or per square inch of growing space, setting these entrepreneurs up to run an urban farm and making sure that we have these urban farms distributed across the country in urban areas. And so they operate under one brand that allows us to bring our economies of scale into negotiating with national grocers, retailers, wholesale distributors, and you have the social justice elements of the brand. You have the quality production, quality, high quality, tasty produce side of the brand, and you have the local proximity. You will drive around your city and see a Zaru farm, and so when you go in the grocery store, you're going to say, "Hey, I'm investing in my community by buying this off of the shelf at Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, Walmart." You name it.
That's a fantastic idea.
And not only fantastic, but just so comprehensive in the presentation of it. Could you tell us a little bit about kind of the legwork leading up to the creation of Zaru?
Oh, absolutely. So I and my team of co-founders, we are building out all of these elements that need to be in place to support the entrepreneurs, de-risk their success, and make sure that we're demonstrating for investors the potential here so that we can get that capital in order to grow it. And so we have a couple of demonstration farms that we're setting up to prove that we can generate the crops at the volume that we're talking about, line up the revenues, and line up in terms of the customer relationships and agreements, and also establish the partnerships within community so that we can support, train, and uplift the entrepreneurial spirit that is untapped in our under-resourced community.
Growing up, I certainly saw my share just driving between Colorado and Minnesota. I saw my share of farmland just going across, whether it was eastern Nebraska, northern Iowa, southwestern, and then southeastern Minnesota. So obviously, for me, if you say farm, my convention is the rural farm, the acreage. Could you tell our listeners about the distinctiveness of an urban farm? Because this is fascinating.
So what we're talking about is urban farm, so farming in an urban area, but using containers, shipping containers. So the technology now allows it where you're maximizing every cubic inch of space within that container to grow a crop. So one shipping container, standard size you would see on the back of a semi truck or in the port of Oakland, one container can generate the equivalent produce of 2 acres of farmland. So 5 of these containers generate a 10-acre equivalent, sits on the same footprint of a lot that you would have a single family home on in a city. And so we're talking about taking the farming that most people know and putting it locally making it much more resilient. You don't have to worry about the ups and downs of extreme heat, extreme cold, pests, etc. You can optimize lighting, humidity, temperature, um, nutrients that are fed into the plant in order to make sure that you have the consistent high growth and quality that's there. All of that is technology that's emerging. And whenever you have new emerging technology, who usually benefits from it? The same people who already have wealth and money that don't look like, you know, uh, the folks that we're trying to serve and support. And so we're creating a model where our community can be at the head of monetizing a new and emerging technology and market opportunity.
What would then be some of the other kind of ancillary or side careers that would spring from this business model?
So think about it. We're talking about the entire distribution channel, right? So you're producing the crops, you are developing and the technology in terms of the containers, the refurbishing, the outfitting of that. So there's the design, the engineering, the construction of those. There's the how do we get the product to market in terms of how do we connect from farm to table. All of those elements of either transportation or managing logistics. And then you have the aspects of the retail side, the uh, the restaurants, those that are being fed with this produce that is much more healthy, designed to have much more nutrients packed in it, and it also helps to address aspects of food insecurity and lack of access to healthy foods.
All right, I'm a student. I'm not quite sure what I want to do, or maybe I'm out in the community. I'm interested in this. I'm on fire right now, interested. How does someone get in touch with you about this?
Well, check out the website, zarusystems.com. That is where you can reach out to us through there. In addition, I think just getting engaged if you're interested in either entrepreneurship. There are a number of entrepreneurship programs to tie into. This is one model, but there are others as well. If you're interested in this first business application we're deploying in terms of urban shipping container farms, reach out. We'd love to tap in, give folks experience, knowledge around what's happening. And, frankly, there are a ton of opportunities. This is one that we're excited about. And a lot of partnerships. We're building partnerships locally. Because I'm from Oakland, our first commercial farm and the first few entrepreneurs will be right here. We're going to be building right here in Oakland the first few farms to demonstrate what Zaru can do and what that potential is before we move across the country.
What's it like to be an entrepreneur?
Man, it's tough. Entrepreneurship is not easy. Like we're talking about something that has a lot of potential and excitement, but at the same time, there's a lot of ups and downs because you're creating something new. You're not just falling into something that has existed and there's already a playbook and it, you're really bumping your head up against a wall here and a wall there. You got folks who are questioning, and rightly so, all of the assumptions that are going into your business model. So you've got to not only be tight with sort of why we're doing what we're doing, but you got to quickly, aggressively knock down all of those unknowns. The more you can do that, the more you get other folks on board, willing to invest, willing to be a part of what's going on, and that's what we're doing. We are going into uncharted territory to create new value that didn't already exist, and make sure, and through Zaru, make sure that other people have access to that same value creation.
In addition to Zaru, if someone is kind of going into that great unknown, no matter what the field, within Oakland, what resources are available to new entrepreneurs?
Oh, so that's where I think it's important that we do get the word out. Thank you for asking that question. Um, the city of Oakland has an economic and workforce development department that is intended to support small businesses that are emerging and growing. You register, you part of their distribution list as new grant opportunities or loan opportunities come out. That's an area. We've got incredible entrepreneurship programs, accelerators. ESO Ventures is one. If you go eso-ventures.com, that is a business accelerator entrepreneur support organization that I was fortunate to help start when I was on the city council, focused on Black and brown entrepreneurs from Oakland. We were able to get some capital from the state in order to invest into these businesses, get zero interest loans as capital startup. And then there are a number of other programs out there as well, that you can find just by searching sort of Oakland entrepreneur or business accelerators. Optima Bootcamp is one, Alliance for Community Development is another, and the list goes on.
Wow, this is great information. Need to do a little PSA here. Could you stick around for a little while longer? Okay, great. Well, before I do that, I want to remind our listeners that you are tuned into the President's Desk, heard right here on 96.9 FM, KGPC, and online as always at kgpc969.org. As we transition at this point in the show, I will go ahead and remind our listeners that Laney College provides one-time support scholarships for students who face unforeseen financial difficulties during the semester that impact their ability to attend school. If you are a student, even as we head to the home stretch for finals, if you're experiencing difficulties, please reach out because you have support. Reach out to Arlene Lontock in my office, the President's office, at 510-464-3219. Or you can email her at alontoc@peralta.edu. Also, just a reminder to our employees and community members, all charitable gifts to Laney College are tax deductible, and they are processed through the Peralta Colleges Foundation, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And Felicia, I just got to take a break and share something with you. If you ever come to Laney College, whether it's One Stop Saturday or other events, the Rotary is there, and John Clausen with Rotary, he actually makes corn dogs for students when they're on the quad. Anyway, I got a little good news today.
Oh.
Thanks to the donations of community members who've come to campus, we are actually getting a $500 donation just from volunteer donations for those corn dogs. So
wow.
the gift giving, it's happening, and it's great. But anyway, to our employees and to community members, if you're interested in donating, please give us a call at 510-464-3219, or you can email Arlene at the email I mentioned before. But you know what? A lot of times when you're thinking about a gift for a scholarship or something like that, it's pretty personal, and you may have a lot of questions. And if that's the case, I want to invite you to reach out and contact me directly. My phone number is 510-464-3236. Or you can email me, although I prefer a phone call, at rbesikof@peralta.edu. Also, to our employees, of course, you're welcome to make a one-time donation. But also, for as little as the price of a cup of coffee per week, you can actually do a monthly payroll deduction, which guarantees, number one, that it goes to our students, and number two, that also, because it's a pre-tax donation, it's also something that you can use as a tax deduction. So as we head into the season, certainly opportunities to give to our students. Anyway, just want to welcome back Loren Taylor to our program, and a great conversation in the first half hour. And I definitely want to talk to you just about the experience of serving on the city council and being in public life. But before I get that, I just want to ask one more question. Just in terms of the consulting work that you do, what's that been like? What's the experience been like?
Well, I really love consulting because, just like engineering, it is about identifying problems that others are wrestling with, that they're trying to get through, and bringing that fresh look and bringing the breadth of my experiences to help them navigate through. And so that's exciting to me, as I'm able to bring that fresh perspective, that new energy, and really structure a path to helping people address the challenges they face, that they're working through, or even new opportunities that they can take advantage of.
Of course, as you've gotten into this, and I think through a lot of people as they're going through their careers, find those moments where they're pivoting and kind of transitioning from one thing to another. What's that been like for you?
Yeah, as you know, recently left the council and government service and pivoted into this entrepreneurship role. I'll say it's scary, to be perfectly honest, because you're going into something new. You're not sure what you're going to step into. But at the same time, as we build that foundation, that base that I talked about of experiences, of knowledge, of relationships, etc., it gives you, I will say, an ability to swiftly and effectively navigate the uncertainty, navigate the pivot. And so that is what I experience. I'm grateful for just the network of folks who've been extremely supportive and partnering with me, helping me explore different options as well. And that's just a part of life. We should expect that things aren't going to stay the same, that they're going to change, that markets change, companies go through ups and downs, you name it. So it's all about being ready for that pivot, ready to move, to continue personally moving forward, individually, personally, professionally. But you might do that in a different way. It looks a little different, feels a little different, and yeah, it's I'm excited about where I'm landing, continuing to, impact lives, deliver for community, but just through maybe a different mode, applying different skills, but still moving forward in partnership.
Any advice you'd give to somebody who's maybe about to make a change?
I think number one, don't be hard on yourself around what's going on. This is natural, the change, the transition. I think taking your time and being deliberate, but doing so with a sense of sort of intentionality and forward progress. When it, I'll say, a lot of people like to jump into the first thing that comes along because they've been in a role doing something for so long, they're not quite sure how to just be still, listen, reflect on themselves personally. What is it they want? What is it that they need? And also, I will say, don't do it alone. Folks are out there wanting to help. You have a base of folks, relationships, family, friends, other coworkers, past coworkers. Be upfront, be honest with them, because that you never know where your great job opportunity or next career path is going to come from. So don't feel like you're doing it alone. Have those conversations. Be vulnerable, because again, this is something we all go through, and I'm sure there are a lot more people out there willing and wanting to support you than you may even recognize.
I think that's a very solid piece of advice. I do know, when I was in my 20s, I remember being laid off from the school I was teaching at. And the last thing I wanted to do was to reach out.
Mm-hmm.
I remember it. So I think there's a certain strength that comes with that advice. But, all right. Well, I'd like to now talk about, because you've been, like I said, you've been an incredible ally to Laney. You've been an incredible, I would say, leader and friend to the city of Oakland. Just tell us about the experience of serving on the city council.
Yeah. So as a kid from Oakland, sort of born and raised here, and we don't learn that much about local government in school, elementary school, junior high, high school, or even college. You might learn about national government and politics, but at the local level, it's a little bit of a mystery. And so, how I happened upon this opportunity is I was similarly pivoting after consulting and trying to figure out how I could have the most impact, combining my, sort of passion and commitment to Oakland with my experience solving problems, driving change as a management consultant and an engineer. And I realized that there's a big gap when it comes to local government in terms of folks that are able to understand the system, navigate that effectively, while staying true to the people that they're supposed to serve, while being committed to actually solving problems and challenges and not just perpetuating their own career and existence. And so that was something that I saw a gap, and I'm not one to stand and see an issue or a problem and just stand by and watch it or point it out. And I was like, let's jump in and see how we can solve it. And I'm proud of what we were able to do as a council member representing District 6 in East Oakland. It, definitely learned a lot of things that, would, I will say, mystify and confuse a lot of folks as to why does government work that way, and challenging the status quo, pushing to get better answers. I think that was a value that I brought, and I think it's still needed.
What was something that came as the biggest surprise to you as you took office?
I think the biggest surprise is, well, I'll say one is the power of incumbency. If you have someone who's been in office, there's a whole, I will say, ecosystem of folks that are benefiting from the decisions they make, and or at least they're or afraid of decisions or retaliation that they could bring. And so you end up realizing how entrenched incumbents or those who are already part of the system are, because the system keeps feeding itself, wanting to keep status quo and keep people in place because that's the security and they're benefiting from it. I'd say that's one piece, and a, the lesson learned for me is that we've got to do more to empower regular everyday Oaklanders to actually break in and take control back of the city that they're supposed to be democratically helping to guide. So that's one. Loaded for sure. I'll say the second thing that I realized is that when you navigating politics, there are, and I would describe it as three different types of leaders, or archetypes of leaders. You've got of elected representatives or politicians. You've got those that have an ideology that they really care about, particular, and that's what drove them into this, and that is what they sort of push, sometimes without regard to how that ideology actually manifests on the ground for the residents that are there. And so you look at any extreme position, right? You take take public safety, for example, right? We've got folks that are like, all right, we need to just abolish the existing criminal justice system. And then you've got folks that are like, no, anything for public safety, we're not going to hold officers accountable when they overstep bounds, because we think that their job and anything public safety is sacrosanct. Both of those ideologies are on the extreme positions, but if you really want to serve people, you got to understand how they each can do damage while they also have some values and some virtues there. And so I think it's important there. The second archetype are those that are essentially climbing a ladder. It's a career in politics, right? So they know how to navigate the game, make trade-offs, transactions in order to rise up and not piss too many people off, so they can continue to climb the ranks in government. And then you have those that are, I will say, more community connected, mission aligned, that, yeah, they've got some values in terms of ideology. They've got aspirations in terms of having greater impact. But at the end of the day, they're prioritizing the people over any of those other elements. And that's, I will say, a lens that I've come to appreciate in evaluating those who are stepping up to serve.
Felicia, I think he just set the new record for most complete answer to a question in the history of the president's desk. I think that's fair to say.
My bad.
No, that was great.
Well, since you're doing so good, I got a 3-part question for you.
There we go.
When you said District 6, not everybody knows what District 6 is, East Oakland. So what area was actually District 6? That's
Yep.
first part.
All right.
Second part is, what was your largest challenge going into being city council member in that district? And then the last part is, what legacy did you leave behind?
Well, you know what? That is an outstanding question. But before Loren gives us a great answer, I certainly want to remind our listeners that you're tuned into the President's Desk right here on 96.9 KGPC. So, Loren, back to Felicia's question.
All right.
Your legacy, District 6. Go ahead. Yeah.
First one's easy.
Largest challenge.
The largest challenge. Okay. First one's easy. District 6, East Oakland, roughly between High Street and 86th Avenue, and also between the water, the bay, and the Oakland Hills. So it's a lateral. If you take a slice of Oakland, So it covers Skyline High School, Merritt College. It's got Eastmont Mall, Mills College, the Havens Court neighborhood, Arroyo Viejo, and it now has the Coliseum. It jogged around the Coliseum, but with redistricting, the Coliseum is in it as well. Next question was
Challenge, yeah.
largest challenge when going in. I say the largest challenge is inertia. People are used to things being the way that they are, both in terms of the city and how things operate, elected officials, how they've been navigating, and also residents. There's a lot of, well, things have always been this way, so that's what we have to accept. And I think the biggest challenge was helping folks get outside of that uh, mindset of business as usual. This is just something we have to accept. And like, no, well, what if we broaden our lens of what can be created, what we can do together, or what East Oakland can actually do and mean. And I'll say to that point, I'm proud of a number of things that we created. We already talked about ESO Ventures, where we created a business accelerator program to focus on the innate entrepreneurship, innovation, talent that exists within East Oakland. ESO stands for East Side Oakland, with that intentional focus on getting East Oakland talent and potential out of, say, the garages or kind of the stalemate, and actually letting those business ideas flourish. Another thing is that legacy is looking at vacant, unused, underdeveloped parcels of land that exist within the city and really activating them. One example is the lot at the corner of 73rd and Foothill, at the corner of Eastmont Mall, that was barren and vacant for so long. We created an opportunity for the East Oakland Black Cultural Zone to take ownership of that lot, turn it from a lot that was growing weeds waist high, collecting litter, into what we now call Liberation Park, a place where community gathers, outdoor roller skating rink, outdoor concerts, farmers market, community resource opportunities. And that same group, with our support and a number of other community partners, they have an exclusive negotiating agreement. They are, I think they just got approval from the Building and Planning Department to build housing. So a Black-led organization partnering with developers to build housing and a community entertainment center, all on that plot of land. So a way of creating value of something that was wasteland before that.
Fantastic.
Just within your answers, I keep hearing the word in my own head, change agent, very much with what you've been doing. Right now, in 2023, in the East Bay, please finish this sentence for me. To be a good change agent, you need to partner. The challenges that we face are so big that one person or even one, I will say, group can't do it all on their own. We've got to create platforms for folks to come together, bring their shared experience, resources, expertise, and also channel that in a way that is focused on outcomes. I will say a lot of times folks come together and it's a lot of complaining, noise, or even the energy that they bring. It's going all sorts of directions, but it doesn't create a concerted movement in one place. And so being able to not just bring people together, but structure their partnership and approach towards outcomes, and being able to measure those outcomes, evaluate them, pivot, course correct, so that we can make sure that we are driving in that effective way. This show is only as good as Felicia and Whitney and Arlene and Randy when she's here as a student co-host. But at the same time, I kind of have that part of my personality where I'm a hard charger and I like to do things myself. I sense you've got a little bit of that too. Am I correct?
So sometimes it's needed,
So,
yes. But
how do you build in your own self-awareness, or how do you check yourself for those moments that you're not taking the whole world and putting it on your shoulders?
yeah, that's a great question because you can easily fall into that. I think number one is it's those people you surround yourselves with. The Felicias, the Randys, like, hey, I got a lot of people around me who will gladly put me in check. Be like, hey, just slow down, homie. You're doing too much right there.
So it's kind of on submarine, that exec XO that to the captain that says, oh, wait a minute, we're going the wrong way.
Yeah. You got to have people around you that aren't afraid to tell you the hard truths, right? You don't just want yes people, etc. I think another piece in terms of keeping yourself humble is just that transparency of being open with folks, sharing. I think getting to that point where you don't have to be 100% perfect. You can create some vulnerability, some authenticity that then creates that whole environment there where we don't have to hide the ball or my imperfections and take on the world by myself.
You know, I know a lot of our listeners do like to read about things, and I'm just going to share because you mentioned something that in a book came to mind about having people with you who can tell you, hey, you know, we need to be going a different direction, or we need to do this differently at times, not afraid to speak up. And Jim Collins wrote a great book called Good to Great. And within that book, the central question around the beginning of that book is, who do you have on your leadership bus? And that you've got to have some of those people that can speak up and support you in that way. So I think just across the board, we're hearing a lot of good kind of points and lessons in leadership today.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I'll say is that leadership lessons, you never stop learning, you never stop growing.
Nope.
You're always looking for new ways. And so, thank you for bringing that up. I'm going to go just do a quick little check-in on my own and ask myself that question: who's on my leadership bus? My mentors, my advisors. Do we need to refresh, add some folks, at least more intentionally do so? Because we're always refining, honing, and building.
Loren, in the last minute or so before we wrap up today, you and I, of course, we've met in a couple of different venues, but one of the ones that really made a great first impression with me of you was when the 100 Black Men of the Bay Area came to Laney and held just an outstanding event for area high school youth on our campus. Could you tell us a little bit about that organization and what your role has been with it?
Absolutely. So the 100 Black Men of the Bay Area is a local chapter of the national organization. There are chapters across the globe, actually, with Black men who come together, recognizing just what we've been talking about, that if you really want to change the world, the trajectory of the community and those who are most in need, you've got to do it together. And so it's folks combining their resources, their energy, their time, their talents, their treasures in a way that can create a productive change in community. So my role with the 100 Black Men here, I have served on the scholarship committee, mentorship committee. We've worked with, we started a community school. So I was part of that leadership team to build the 100 Black Men Community School, which was operational for a couple years. I'm working with folks. We have a scholarship where we have, I think, collectively contributed more than $3 million to students here in the Bay Area to help further their academic progress. We focus on health and wellness initiatives, a annual track meet, where through that track meet and other track events, we help give our young people the health and wellness tools, tips, and also some mentorship that goes along with that. So it's a number of activities all focused around how we can collectively address those, I will say, areas that often beset specifically Black boys as they're maturing, so that we can move the needle on their trajectory through life.
Loren, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So a couple ways. One, you can follow my startup that I'm CEO of, Zaru Systems, ZARUSYSTEMS.com. Check us out. Follow us on social media as well. Also, I have started an organization, Empower Oakland. Empower Oakland is focused on taking those lessons learned from being inside where the sausage is made in City Hall and in local elected politics, and giving Oaklanders the tools to get more engaged, to really activate and take control of how our city and our government is operating. So empoweroak.com or social media handles empoweroak. And just being about the town. We cannot lead, we can't engage, we can't create value without being in and amongst community. So I look forward to seeing folks around as well.
Loren, thank you so much, not only for joining us today, but just also, again, your friendship and your partnership with Laney College in Peralta.
Thank you, Rudy. This has been great. And thanks to the whole team that's put this together.
Excellent. As we wrap up another edition of the President's Desk, we want to thank our Peralta TV audience as well as listeners up and down the great state of California, whether it's Capital Territory in the 916, the far north in the 717 or the 530, or all the way down to SoCal, big shout out in 619. But special appreciation goes to our great Laney and Peralta listeners right here in the 510, tuning in from Lake Merritt, Oakland Chinatown, downtown Oakland, West Oakland, East Lake, Fruitvale, Diamond, North Oakland, Adams Point, Central Oakland, East Oakland, the Oakland Hills, Montclair, Piedmont, and of course, those right here at the Laney campus in Oakland listening to us today. As we close up shop at the President's Desk, straighten out the chairs and turn the desk light off on today's program, Felicia, great job today. Please take us home.
Absolutely. Shout out to Zaru System, and also shout out to Mesa. I'm so glad that they're at Laney College. That's fantastic. Thank you for tuning in to the President's Desk, hosted by Laney College President, Dr. Rudy Besikoff. It airs each Wednesday at 2 a.m. and 2 p.m. on 96.9 KGPC. And viewers can watch the show in its entirety on Peralta TV Sundays from 1 to 2 p.m. To listen to the show anytime, find us on kgpc969.org/programming/current shows and click on to the President's Desk. Or find the show directly at www.kgpc969.org/the President's Desk. Also, to stream video of the show, go to youtube.com and subscribe to Laney College President's Desk. If you have a suggestion for a future show, please email us at LaneyPIO. Change that. Laney podcast at Peralta.edu.